welcome to the very first video in the new Burp for Beginners series. In this series we're going to be going over the fundamentals of Burp, from the very basics in this video, how to set it up, how to get started, to really looking at how to abuse and use those features in your bug hunting. And this is really replacing the very first video I made on bug hunting on my channel, which looks like it was filmed on a potato, looks terrible, looks really bad, and is not in HD because I didn't know what I was doing. But I now know slightly more, so I feel confident enough to remake it and really create a decent guide to Burp. So again, sponsored by Integrity, who have very kindly sponsored a few of the videos on my channel. They are an ethical hacking platform, just like HackerOne and BugCrowd. They focus on European consumers or customers, so providing services for European businesses to get penetration testing. But actually, you don't have to be European to use their platform. You can be anywhere. They're definitely a smaller platform, but they have such a huge community focus. Super active on Twitter, interacting with the community. They actually have quite a wide range of targets that you won't find on other platforms. But you know what? I am all about community focus. I love the fact they give back to the community, and they're not just investing in me, they're investing in other creators. Whether that's people making video and newsletters, doing Q&As. They really do care about this community. And they're really letting me create the content I already make without pushing me to make any kind of focused content. I don't take having an advertiser very lightly. I really do think they do a great job and they have a good platform. I wouldn't be promoting them otherwise. So if you're not already a member, you can sign up at my link, go integrity.com/Katie or /insiderphd. If you've noticed, my microphone has improved. That is all thanks to them. Getting a sponsorship helps me invest into the channel to improve audio, but hopefully to do other things. So I really hope you give them a lot of love. I'm promoting them because I think they do something great, and I think you guys would like it too. So let's get on to what is Burp. So you might have ended up here because someone has told you, here's a guide for setting up Burp. You might also be sitting here thinking, what's Burp? So Burp provides a proxy, essentially. You send all of your traffic through Burp, and really it sits there and it allows you to resend requests, change the requests, intercept them. So really it kind of provides a way for you to try different things out. And I should say all of your traffic goes through there on your specific browser you're using. We'll go over how that works when we come to set it up. But fundamentally, we're just changing requests. That is the core thing Burp allows us to do. It does lots of other fancy things, but to start with, it lets us send new requests, change requests, and intercept them. The three core features. So why do we actually use Burp? So in bug bounty, we mainly do web-based pen testing, and that's because a regular pen tester can go to a company and do network pen testing because they're there, they can connect to the Wi-Fi. But we really sit on the outside, and one of the only services that's visible from the outside is the web. And sometimes, we have hardware hacking, we have all these other different types of hacking. But primarily, we do web-based pen testing. So being able to edit the requests our browser sends is key to testing application, because we can do a lot in editing a request that we can't necessarily do when we look at a website as a client. And Burp basically gives us an IDE. And if you're not a developer, that stands, it's a type of developer environment that you as a developer use to program, basically. But it gives us this whole kind of home base of features. So the kind of three core features we have: repeater, that repeats a request, intercept, which intercepts a request before it happens, and intruder, which is a brute forcing tool. And really, when you're a beginner, these are the three parts of Burp you're probably going to be using all of the time. So it's really important to become really familiar with Burp and kind of internalize what it does. So who makes Burp and where can you find it? So Burp is made by a company called Portswigger. And it really comes with an enterprise edition, a professional edition, and a community edition. You don't need to pay for Burp when you get started out. You can just use the free version. It is good enough to find your first bug, I promise. And if you want to, you download it from their website. On all of the tutorials on my channel, I always use the free version because I don't think that beginners should be investing what is essentially quite a lot of money into a piece of software that actually they won't get any other features out of. Actually, we'll have an entire video on whether or not you should pay for it and when you should pay for it in the kind of career. So what about alternatives? The big alternative is OWASP Zap. It has many of the same features. I personally don't really like the interface, but it has many of the same features. And, you know, for some features, even on Burp, you might want to look at other software. You know, you want a scanner, which is something that's provided in Burp Premium. You can actually find some free ones. If you want to do brute forcing better, especially because, you know, even Burp has like a limit on their free version, you can use FFUF. Fast Web Fuzzer written in Go. But why use Burp in this series over OWASP Zap? I'm more familiar with Burp. I learned how to use Burp, so I'm using that one. I know, very, very complex decision making. So let's get into it. You know, I don't want to spend too long talking about the theory. Let's look at a practical introduction. Let's have a look. How do we set it up? And how do we set it up with Firefox? Okay, so we're back. We've got Firefox open and we've got Burp open. So the first thing we're going to do is create a temporary project. Now, if you have the Premium Edition, you'll be able to create new projects or open existing projects. You can really just start with a temporary project. So again, we can load from configuration files. If you use HackerOne, you'll see that you can download a configuration file for each target you work on. We're just going to use the defaults. So we go start Burp, and the Burp will then start. So we're kind of with this kind of overwhelming interface. It's not very easy to use, but let's kind of go through what we're looking at. So we have this dashboard, which we can ignore. Just ignore it. We have target, which kind of has some boxes in it. We have proxy, which also doesn't make any sense. We have intruder, which presumably does something. Repeater, again, a lot of tabs. And then we have some other ones. We're going to focus on these. So the first tab we need to focus on is the proxy tab. Now, we need to set it up so Firefox in here, all of the traffic goes to Burp. And if we refresh the page here, we can see if we reopen Burp, nothing appears, which means it's not working. So the first thing you have to do when you set up Burp is set up your proxy. So into Firefox, go to your options and go to proxy. And you're kind of given this kind of connection settings. So we're going to go to manual proxy configuration and we need to set this up. So if we go back to Burp and we go to options, we can see where our proxy is listening. So in this case, we've got 127.0.0.1.80.80. So our Burp has to match this. So if we go back here, we'll notice I've used localhost, which is exactly the same. It's the kind of the shorthand for the same IP address. So this will work fine. If you use Burp with the default options, this will work for you. So we go OK. The problem is we still don't have a certificate installed. So the way to check Burp, and then the way, as we can see, this has just popped up, so we can see that something is going in here. So it's going into Burp. We need to set up a certificate. So we go to http://Burp, and we'll see we can kind of have this. Now this tells us, one, that our proxy is working, and two, it lets us download the certificate. Now the certificate will let us visit a secure website. So unlike, you know, there's a lot of protections on the internet to stop us from doing silly things. We're going to turn off that. So we download the certificate. And this is just a root certificate for Burp. So we'll go here, we'll go back into options, and we'll look for certificates. Import, downloads, CA cert, and for me that's already installed because I've already used Burp before. But yours will work. Press OK, and then you're done. You're ready to go. We refresh this page, and now the internet's not working. Well, actually, it's just here, and we've got intercept on. So intercept stops our requests from being forwarded until we can set and edit them, so we can actually make changes to the request. But to start with, we really don't need to use that because that's going to take up a lot of time when actually they make requests all the time. So we turn intercept off, and then we notice that stuff is flashing everywhere. Now, if we go to target, we can now see there are some websites here. So before we were just looking at an empty box, now we see some target. So this shows all of the websites we've visited. And that's how you set up Burp. It's so simple, it's so straightforward. Firefox, turn on the proxy, go to HTTP Burp, download the certificate, install the certificate, done. Problem solved. And I know some people have a bit of a trouble understanding my voice, so I will also put like a little slideshow in the description so you can see it a bit slower. Right, so we've set up Burp. What happens next? So we've got Burp set up now, and what we really want to know is how on earth do we actually use this piece of software? You noticed before where I was clicking through all of the tabs, there's quite a lot of information. What do they all do? So I'm going to show you how to use Burp. Okay, so we're back looking at our Burp Community Edition. Now let's start by going to our target. So I'm going to assume here that we want to look up Yahoo Mail. We go Yahoo Mail. Maybe we just go to the Yahoo website. Yeah. So we'll take Yahoo as our target, which is on the Verizon Media Program on HackerOne. So we've got a lot loading up here. Let's go back to Burp, and you can see we have a ton of requests in here. And, you know, how much of those do we actually need? One thing we want to do when we first get started is manage our scope. So we go to target and we go to scope. And the first thing we want to do is use advanced scope control, which basically lets us manage our scope. But because we're lazy, we're not actually going to write anything in here. We're just going to turn that on. Now we'll go to sitemap and we'll go to ukyahoo.com. We'll go add to scope and it will now appear in here. Now we want everything in yahoo.com. So we can just go and replace Yahoo with a star. And now we've put everything from Yahoo in scope. Now, what problem here is that all these are still there. So here's how you fix that. We go to filter, show only in scope items. Don't press these buttons. These buttons look very tempting to press. Just click away and you'll see instantly that we only get domains that actually belong to Yahoo. And we can see, you know, even in here, we're seeing a ton of stuff. We've got something called pgif. We've got libraries in here. And we've got JavaScript. So there's kind of two ways to approach bug bounties, essentially. One is to look at your sitemap and decide kind of what you want to do from there. You might see, okay, API looks interesting, resource, and then we can kind of see some API here. So that's one way of looking at it. The other way is if we go to proxy, HTTP history, these are our like targets sorted by domain. This is our target sorted by time. So if we refresh the page now and we go back here, we can see everything is being hit. However, again, we're seeing pixel.advertising.com, and again, we can go to filter, show only in scope items, and here we can see just star.yahoo, which is our target. And it's really up to you whether or not you prefer to use this kind of approach or this kind of approach. as I said last week in my methodology video, I'm very much mapping business logic. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go, what happens if I press that? And I can see stuff gets loaded. And I'm like, okay, we've got some uk.search.yahoo, so I can map this endpoint to the business logic of searching. So that's the proxy. Let's talk about some of the other tabs. So these are the two tabs that really help you to manage things and decide what like endpoints to hit. Let's talk about how you actually engage with those endpoints. So on either the target or the proxy, you can right click and send to these different places. So you're primarily either going to be sending to repeater or sending to intruder. When you send to repeater, this will then flash. And we go here and we can resend this request. So if we send it again, we'll see we get some information back from this search term. But we might want to try, okay, what happens if I change the search term here? What if I do that? Well, how does that change what I get back? Does it work? Does it not work? If you're dealing with something where you take input, you'll have requests like parameters in there, so you can look at those. You might want to say, okay, what does FR and F2 do? Let's change those. Let's just make that null. How does that change the thing we get back? So repeater is really there for you to change a request slightly, resend it, change it, send it, change it, send it. And when you start testing specific payloads, this is primarily what you do. You try it. Does it work? No, try something else. So primarily you kind of work in repeater. You should be really familiar with going, say, in here, going center repeater, in here, loading it. What does it come back with? It's empty. Okay, is that response empty? No, there's something there. So why is didn't mine work? What about this request worked? Etc, etc. And you might just sit here and spend a lot of time just putting these into repeater and just trying them and seeing, what comes back after you do something. So that's repeater. Let's talk about intruder. So intruder, if we send to intruder, is a brute forcing tool. So it basically allows you to brute force these values here. But not just these values, because you can clear it and change something else. So maybe you want to try brute forcing the API here. So going in this part of the request here and looking for more API endpoints. You might then go to payloads and you can kind of see here we've got some default payload sets, like null payloads that we can just generate like this. Start attack. And we can see the brute force will run. We can also go in here, we can do, a bunch of these, but primarily you kind of be working from lists. So you might have a list of API endpoints. If we go fuzz db, discovery, I think predictable file paths perhaps. No, we probably want, let's go common methods. So, because these are what might be API endpoints. So we'll go raw. We'll copy this list. Go back to Burp. Paste the list, and you can see it's now in our list of payloads. And again, we start the attack. And this means we can try, a bunch of different API endpoints and see what it returns. Now, something really useful to do when you do this kind of brute forcing is to look at the lengths. So, does a length differ between a payload that has nothing and a payload that has some error in it? So, invalid fetcher access. So, but this one has no response back. So that's something to investigate, right? That's something you might want to check out. So that's Intruder. Really, when you do Intruder, you use it for two different things. One is to try a bunch of different fuzzing techniques and see if they exist. And the other is to very quickly kind of do basic recon. There are definitely more complicated tools, but Intruder is a good place to start with getting used to those. And in here we can change more. We can go in here and add a section, and we go out to payloads, and we can then it will try. Oops. If we do start the attack, it will then put a count in this section here, and in essentially it would go on and do it in somewhere else as well. So what we're already seeing is that's a different length to that. Why is that a different length? What about that is changed, for example? And that can tell you a lot about how to engage in a target. So primarily those are the two tabs you use as a beginner, but let's kind of go on to the other options here. Sequencer you can pretty much ignore. You can just consider it not existing because it's not really useful when you're a beginner. You have decoder. Now decoder lets you encode and decode into various formats. So if we take this for example, we can encode as URL and get a URL encoded version of that. We can put it into HTML. We can put it into any of these. We can also go and decode things. So if you see a URL encoded parameter, you can go in here and see what it says. We've got comparer, which lets you compare two different items. Extender, which allows us to install extensions to Burp. We have the BAP store. So in the BAP store, you can see there's a ton of these different options in here. I have JSON beautifier because I do a lot of JSON, but even if you don't pay for premium, you actually got quite a lot of options you can do here. You have things to do parameter mining, you have stuff to deal with PDFs, you have PHP stuff, you have note taking, you have so many different additions you can make even with the free version to start to make the most out of Burp. And there are some options in here, but you can pretty much ignore that and just focus on this. You've got project options, which basically allow you to make certain prop options only for that project, whether that's like SSL stuff. This is sometimes used if you're dealing with SSL issues in your dashboard. We also have user options as well, and again, options related to you, not just relating to this particular project. And that's it for Burp. Primarily you're using target, proxy, intruder, repeater. And you'll just move between these two tabs. You'll be in repeater, slightly changing something, and go, oh, I wonder what other endpoints might exist. You'll then use intruder to kind of let the fuzzing find those endpoints for you. You then might go, oh, okay, there's nothing really interesting there. I'll go back to proxy and try and reconnect the business logic together. And that's how you basically use Burp. For something that looks very complex, it's surprisingly simple when you get a hang of it and you don't feel so overwhelmed and you just focus on the key aspects of Burp. So thank you very much for watching the very first episode in the Burps for Beginners series. I hope this has given you an interesting look into Burp, and if you've watched my previous video, maybe it looks less like it was filmed on a potato. In future videos, we're going to go more in depth on how to use and get the most out of the key Burp features, and really look at Burp as a practical tool, not as a kind of theoretical, here's a tool you should be using. So Thank you again to Integrity for sponsoring this video. Really helps me. If you want to sign up, it's go.integrity.com/Katie with an IE, not a Y. So thank you for watching, and next week we're going to be talking about the top 10 bugs you can find in APIs. So I hope you join me for that. Have a great day. Enjoy.